Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that I did with a gentleman that was very successful in his career and was using cocaine as a way of coping with, let's say, unwanted emotions. And that's not unusual. In my experience, although the general perception when it comes to addictions is that they are some kind of psychological flaw or a character flaw, in my experience, quite often, an addiction is a desperate attempt from the unconscious mind to solve a problem. And because of the nature of certain, let's say, drugs or substances, they can rapidly change emotional states. And temporarily, that seems like it's doing what it needs to do to kind of make someone feel better or distract or escape. But it normally comes with a whole lot of collateral damage. So when I work with people with addictions, I'm looking for two key things. I'm looking for the root cause as to what has created, let's say, a need to solve a problem, a coping strategy, but also wondering, are there more effective coping strategies that don't have the collateral damage? In this particular case, it was evident that the gentleman had developed a belief in childhood as a result of dyslexia that he had to work harder than anyone else. And that was probably useful in a school environment where delegating, if you're a school student, is effectively cheating, getting someone else to do your homework, coursework, or exams. That would be considered cheating or plagiarism. So not really a viable option when you're a child at school. So working harder probably was a very useful belief system back then. However, he had kept that belief system as an adult in a successful career and a startup business. And that belief system that he had to work harder meant that he was saying yes to things that maybe he should have said no to. And he was also keeping responsibilities that would have been better placed to delegate to other people. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is a series of suggestions that empower him to use the ability to be discerning, to make great decisions as a way to do two things simultaneously. One is to be discerning about what responsibilities or workload he takes on and what he delegates and what he just ditches. But also, taking any substance is also a decision. And it's a decision that if you're making an intelligent decision in most areas of your life, you think beyond the immediate moment. You think about the ripple effects, the consequences of a decision. However, there was a particular part of him that thought very much in the moment, very impulsive. And that part really didn't care about the consequences, but there was a discerning part that liked making great choices, liked making great decisions. And when that was in the driving seat, the desire to take on too much work or the desire to even consider a substance wouldn't appeal to that particular part. So you're going to hear all of this in this hypnosis session. Obviously, this hypnosis session was created with someone with very specific circumstances. So although it might help you to deal with overwhelm, because you can pick out the bits that are relevant to you, or perhaps help if you have an addiction, which is a coping strategy of some kind, please be aware it was created for someone else. So if you are dealing with things and this audio doesn't quite help, there will be a link nearby where you can schedule a 30-minute consultation call with me, and I can explain how I would work with you as an individual. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Okay, take a deep breath in, and on the outward breath, close your eyes. That's right. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just get a sense that tension, stress, and overwhelm is leaving your body in your outward breath. I want you to use the power of your imagination to picture a vibrant, bright, glowing colour, and imagine that you're breathing that colour that represents resourceful relaxation. Feel it going in through the nose, filling your lungs. Imagine your heart taking that resourceful relaxation and pumping it to every cell in your body. And as you exhale, just get a sense that any tension, stress, and anxiety is leaving your body in your outward breath, and that you could visualize that as a darker colour leaving your nose. Therefore, just by breathing in and breathing out, I want you to get a sense that tension, stress is melting away. And as you exhale, it leaves your body. And your very next breath is a breath full of that resourceful feeling of relaxation. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice that your breathing gets deeper and your outward breath gets longer, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. Now, as your body relaxes, your imagination becomes more active. And I want you to imagine a temple on a hillside in Japan. Imagine you can see it perhaps from the sky. See the beautiful scenery around, the forests. And then I want you to imagine being inside the temple. Perhaps you can imagine that you're in a posture that's designed to help you think or meditate or relax. Perhaps you can see the wooden beams supporting the roof. Maybe look outside and see the trees of the canopy of the forest. And I want you to get a sense that while you're there in that temple, you're able to access a deeper part of your subconscious mind, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. In this place, I want you to access a resourceful part of you that has proven in your life to be excellent at making decisions. Perhaps these decisions relate to career moves, friendships, relationships, perhaps what to study, what to learn. And I want you to access that part that is not just good at making decisions, but tapping into all of your experiences and wisdom up to this point and taking that into account when making decisions. I want you to get a sense that life is all about making decisions, making choices. Some choices are beneficial, taking your life in positive directions, and some decisions lead to a series of consequences, a ripple effect that perhaps lead to unintended consequences. I want you to get a sense that part of living is learning the difference between good choices and bad choices, good decisions and bad decisions. And I want you to get a sense that the quality required to make a good decision is essentially discerning. The process of being discerning, having the quality of discernment, enabling you to make good choices. I want you to get a sense that in certain areas of your life, there will be feelings that you have to make a decision in order to solve a problem. But I wonder what it would be like if you were preemptive. I wonder if, by being discerning, how could you deal with guilt before guilt becomes an issue? How could you deal with overwhelm before overwhelm is even an issue? Why clear up the mess of the toothpaste outside of the tube if the toothpaste never leaves the tube to begin with? I want you to get a sense that you already know how to be discerning. And I want you to think of what you could do that will enable you to lighten the load. What could you say no to? In the same way that you might think about the goals and the things you want in life. That involves research. That involves evaluating how much time you have. And when you act on those goals, that vision board, that bucket list, is that not being discerning? Choosing what you want and then deciding to allocate the resources necessary to turn that idea into reality. I want you to get a sense that you've been carrying something on your back for a long time. A belief, a rule, a standard that perhaps served you well in childhood, but is now holding you back. I want you to go all the way back in time, just in your imagination, to being at school, where perhaps, because you accurately identified a way of thinking that put you at a disadvantage in that particular environment, may have led you to believe that you needed to work harder than anyone else. And if you can go back to the time where that belief was formed, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine at the point where you formed the belief that you need to work harder than anyone else, just imagine putting a rucksack on your back, and that rucksack is filled with a heavy rock. There's a burden that you've been carrying since that point in time. And I want you to acknowledge that while that belief may have been useful for you in that context, with the resources available to you then, perhaps at the point where you left school and entered the world of work, maybe that belief of needing to work harder than anyone else was no longer a useful belief. And I want you to get a sense that you've been carrying around this heavy rucksack all the time since then. You could choose to continue living your life with this heavy rucksack that's just getting in the way of you living your life, putting more pressure on you than you need to carry. Or you could decide to let that rucksack go. If you're ready to let go of that rucksack that you've been carrying for a long time, just let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine that we're going to replace that rucksack of that heavy rock with something else. That the way in which you can compete, the way in which you can maintain your high standards is no longer going to be using the blunt tool of just working harder. It's going to be by tapping into your unique ability to be discerning. To be discerning with what you say yes to, with what projects you take on, what goals you're actually committed to. To be discerning about what you delegate and what you decide to work on yourself. By being discerning as to who you then delegate those things that need to be delegated to. And if your unconscious mind accepts that working harder has not helped to deal with this feeling of overwhelm, and in fact may have contributed to it, but by being discerning, you actually do reduce the amount of workload, you close those open loops, and you free up the resources to do good quality work, specializing in the kind of work that you're uniquely able to have the biggest impact on. And if your unconscious mind feels that this would genuinely help with feelings of overwhelm, let me know by nodding your head. Now it's time to put that rucksack down, and you feel lighter. You feel lighter, but most importantly, you have a sense that there will be less stress and overwhelm in your future, so long as you consistently act on this ability to be discerning. And at any point in the future that you feel a sense of overwhelm, you will have this overwhelming urge, a pull, to create a list of all these things that you have to do. And one by one, you'll have this idea that you will either do it, delegate it, or ditch it. And in doing so, that list, you will immediately be able to halve it, and perhaps even halve it again. And that itself will dramatically reduce any feelings of overwhelm, because overwhelm is the sensation that you can't handle what you need to do, that your resources do not meet the demands. At the moment that you filter and analyze all those things that you supposedly need to do, and first of all ask yourself, do you even need to do it? Many things are just open loops. Things that you thought might be a good idea, but there's no consequence to not doing them. Sometimes it's good just to park some of these things into that part of your mind that says, maybe someday. And by parking them there, you always have the ability to revisit them later, or not if you choose not to. Meaning that the things that require your thought are things in the present, and you can do them, assign them to someone else, or just decide that you don't want to do them anymore. And that's okay. I want you to get a sense that this ability to be discerning, to make great choices, will immediately enable you to reduce feelings of overwhelm. And I want you to accept another suggestion. All emotions are an opportunity for you to make great choices. If you feel good, it's great to decide to feel grateful and to know that cause of what makes you feel so good. If you feel stressed, maybe there's a problem that needs fixing. If you feel anxious or worried, maybe there's something you need to prepare for. I want you to get a sense that all emotions are signposts. And one of the most important signposts is guilt. guilt is a feedback loop directly from your intuition, your unconscious mind, to let you know that you're falling below your own standards. And then you have a choice. You ask yourself the question, is your standard still useful for you to maintain? You've already accepted that a standard that you have to work twice as hard as other people was not serving you, and you've let that go. And you can choose to do that with any standard. Or you could choose to allocate the necessary resources to hold yourself up to a higher standard. And in doing so, you get to evolve, improve, and elevate your life and take your life in powerful, positive directions. I want you to find yourself back in that temple, feeling lighter, feeling with more mental clarity. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, and notice that you're becoming someone that takes care of their mind and their body. As you focus on your breathing, you realize that you are constantly looking to improve and grow. You will always strive to be true to yourself, honoring and fulfilling your own needs. You can't serve from an empty cup, and your own needs include nutrition, sleep, sufficient water. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, and realize that you have a deep desire to be an honest partner within integrity, and someone that's dependable, someone that can be counted on. You have this urge to be someone that people look up to and want to be there to add value and positive energy to the room. You have a desire to be a leader, knowing full well that leadership requires amazing decision making and integrity, holding yourself to the highest standards before you can expect anyone else that reports to you to do the same. And you know deep down that you're a good friend. But being a good friend to other people means also being a good friend to yourself. And sometimes being a good friend is showing tough love. If you're ready to make a key change in your life, to bring about that powerful ability to be discerning, to hold yourself to a higher standard, to say enough is enough, and that you will take significant steps to reduce feelings of overwhelm, but also to accept that there is real experiences and there are synthetic experiences. That you have a desire for real emotion, real feelings, and that these come from real experiences, not things created in laboratories and test tubes. If you're committed to holding yourself to a higher standard and using any setbacks as an opportunity for reflection, refinement, to make even better decisions, just let me know by nodding your head. I now want to communicate to a part of you that has been impulsive, a part that has craved instant, intense emotions, perhaps as a way of dealing with stress and overwhelm. And when that part is available, let me know by nodding your head. I want to thank you for your positive intentions. I know that you've only ever wanted the best. That impulsiveness comes from passion, comes from tenacity, a desire to improve emotional feelings as quickly as possible. But I think deep down you know that there's been collateral damage. That in your strive to fix an immediate problem, other people, other parts have been caught in the crossfire. And I want you to connect to the consequences of this immediate desire to make those bad feelings go away. I want you to tap into the memories of things you regret, things that have caused problems. And as you tap into those feelings where you acknowledge that even good intentions can bring about unfavorable, undesirable things, just let me know by nodding your head. Your tenacity is impressive. Your motivation is admirable. And I'm wondering if we can harness that power to seek out natural highs, real experiences, not synthetic experiences, not fake experiences. The ability to feel great in the moment and know that you're going to feel great whenever you think back to that point in time is a more difficult challenge. But I know you've got the tenacity, the drive, the focus. I also have a feeling that you want to make up for all of the pain that you've caused in the past. That was never your intention. If you're ready to take this more challenging path, if you feel you're up to it, let me know by nodding your head. And the only thing it means, setting aside, walking away from, is the quick fixes. The quick fixes are the very cause of all of these problems. I want you to channel all of that energy, that motivation, that focus, that tenacity into achieving real experiences. I want you to think of a list of amazing places you want to see, experiences you haven't done yet, and realize that that is what you've been searching for all of this time. If that substance that you've been chasing was really the answer, you wouldn't need it again and again. The real solution is in real experiences, a real life. If you're willing to accept this more challenging path, because you know that it's actually going to help rather than cause more problems, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to now enable me to speak to the part that is discerning, able to make amazing choices. When that part returns, let me know by nodding your head. You have a challenge, but you're up to it. You have the intelligence, the wisdom, the experience to know the difference between a good choice and a bad choice. And you've used an excuse for too long now to make bad choices, thinking you had a need when you didn't, you had a want. The real need is to live up to your potential. The real need is to raise your standards so you get to feel good and to prove to yourself and everyone around you that you are a leader, that you are capable, that you are dependable. But it also means accessing the incredible resources within yourself. And if you're ready to work as a team in harmony, to take the measures necessary to make progress and learn from setbacks, just let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine what the next few days and weeks are going to be like. How you can take these principles of decision making into immediate practice. What things can you do to learn from guilt and raise your standards? What can you do to immediately reduce feelings of overwhelm and stress, to lighten the load, to give you the mental clarity to focus on what's truly important? What can you do to be a friend to yourself, giving you what you truly need? Health, vitality, good sleep. And if you're ready to be the friend to yourself that you've always needed, again, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine leaving that temple, floating up outside, seeing it there on the hillside, and returning all the way to the present, but taking all of these powerful changes, new belief systems, new ways of thinking with you, and giving the discerning part much more influence in your life to take your life into the direction that will actually give you these feelings you've been searching for so long. Find yourself back in your body, fully in the present. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.